Hello YouTube, Dave here again, and today we're taking a look at an upcoming Pathfinder 2nd Edition playtest. I guess it's actually in effect today. The email that I got said that the embargo on it was September 1st, which today is. So we're going to take a look at this War of the Immortals class playtest. So this playtest presents two new classes for Pathfinder, the Animist and Exemplar. The Animist is a divine spellcasting class with a unique spellcasting progression. They expand their magical abilities by acting as a conduit between the living and spiritual realms, binding to a variety of spiritual apparitions that each have their own spells or powers. So that's kind of neat. And then the Exemplar is a potent combatant whose abilities come from their very own spark of divinity. The Exemplar can channel his divine power into sacred items called icons to perform supernatural deeds and unleash incredible transcendent effects. The Animus and Exemplar will appear in the upcoming sourcebook Pathfinder War of Immortals, scheduled for winter of 2024, which also brings new legendary creatures and character options for a wide variety of classes and characters, as well as bringing new mythic rules to Pathfinder. So that sounds kind of exciting in of itself. It does sound like we're going to get some epic level type of stuff, like going beyond the 20th level characters with the mythic rules. That's speculation. I have no idea what it is, but when I hear mythic rules, it does kind of sound like progression beyond that. We do have War of Immortals, which used to be sort of like beyond regular class progression stuff as well. But that's purely speculation. But I am intrigued by it, so we'll see what we got there. How to play test. The playtest will run until October 2nd, 2023. We're looking for your feedback, comments, and criticisms regarding these classes, but we're focusing our attention on feedback from play, both online and through play-by-post campaigns and virtual tabletops, and at home tables for those of you who can play such games safely. Make new characters, use them as PCs or adversaries, and run a few game sessions or encounters using them. Our friends at Demiplane will also be hosting a free preview of their online character building tools, allowing you to build, playtest Animus and Exemplars online. You can visit them at pathfindernexus.com/playtest. Yeah, so interesting stuff. So let's just get right into it, shall we? So we do have the Animist here. So that's the first one. We have Samo as the iconic character. So each character class in Pathfinder 2nd Edition has an iconic character that is sort of representative of the class, one that they would use in artwork involving the characters of the class and things of that nature. So here we go. So for the Animist, we're not necessarily going to read like every single ability that we get, but we will focus on sort of the main things here. So they are trained in perception, they are trained in fortitude and reflex, expert in will, they are trained in nature and religion, and a number of additional skills equal to 2 plus your intelligence modifier. Wisdom is their key attribute, and they gain 8 hit points plus their con modifier every level for their hit points, in addition to your ancestry hit points and stuff like that. They're trained in simple weapons and unarmed attacks. They are trained in light, medium armor, and unarmored defense. And of course, they're trained in spell attacks, their spell save DC, and class DC, which is usually the same thing. So during combat encounters, the Animus will channel the power of spiritual entities called apparitions to cast potent spells and manipulate the battlefield to your advantage. You mix your own divine magic and the myriad spells granted granted to you by your attuned apparitions to cast down your enemies, sustain your allies, detect hidden threats, and lessen harmful effects. In social encounters, you watch and listen, letting the whispers of spirits and otherworldly beings guide you towards sound judgment. See how that plays out when it comes into contact with a player character. You may call upon the wisdom of an apparition, particularly attuned to the issue at hand, relying on its expertise where your own falls short. So let's just get right into it here, shall we? Um, so their apparition attunements. So Animus gained their power by serving as a bridge for spiritual entities to commune and interact with the physical world in a process called attunement. Apparitions are myriad and diverse. They may be human spirits lingering on the border between becoming phantoms or ghosts, animal spirits with particularly strong connections to the physical world but lacking the malice that would spur such a transition into true undeath, manifestations of natural locations, grown thought and purpose over time, or a variety of other such entities. Some animists attune to one or more specific apparitions that accompany them with their travels, forming a deep partnership over time, while others adapt to their surrounding by befriending local apparitions who dwell wherever the animist journeys takes them. Each day during your daily preparations, choose two apparitions from the list on page 12 to attune to. Of those, choose one to be your primary apparition. Your attuned apparitions each grant you knowledge in the form of lore skills and a repertoire of additional spells you can cast using apparition spellcasting, which we'll see below. And your primary apparition grants you even further power in the form of a unique vessel focus spell, and when you are higher level, a unique avatar form. You can refocus, or when you refocus, sorry, you can change which of your currently attuned apparitions is your primary apparition by selecting any of the apparitions you attune to during daily preparations. All of your apparitions typically remain attuned until your next daily preparations, but some animist abilities can temporarily disperse them, usually in exchange for a powerful boon. If an apparition is dispersed, you lose access to its gifts, you forget its apparition skills, its spells are removed from your apparition spell repertoire, and you cannot use its vessel spell or avatar form until you attune to it again. When you disperse your primary apparition, your remaining apparition becomes your primary apparition. Okay. So Animist and Apparition spellcasting. So they do gain some normal spell slots. So if we take a look here at their spell progression, we'll just zoom in a little bit here on that chart. So you can see that they get like their cantrips. So they get two, which are just normal ones from their spell list, and then they get an additional two starting at first level from their apparition. And the same thing goes for like first level. They get a first level spell slot that's just from the normal list, and then one specifically to their apparition. So, Animist spellcasting as keeper of knowledge, you are consistently learning new tales, and spells. Each day, you can prepare one first level, first rank spell. This is based off of the upcoming revision to Pathfinder Second Edition. So they removed the term level from spell level and just call it a rank 1 spell so that you don't have the word level appearing multiple times with multiple different meanings. So you prepare one first rank spell and two cantrips from among the common spells on the divine list. Let's see here. Plus, prepared spells remain available to you until you cast them or until you prepare your spells again. The number of spells you can prepare are called your spell slots. As you increase in level, you gain additional. So they are prepared spells like a cleric would be or a wizard would be in Pathfinder Second Edition. They're not spontaneous. Now, for apparition spellcasting, you can draw upon your attuned apparitions as a second source of magical knowledge and power. You gain additional spell slots and a spell repertoire from your attuned apparitions. At first level, you can cast one first rank apparition spell per day. You must have the spell in your apparition spell repertoire. It is a collection of spells granted to you by all of your attuned apparitions. So what's kind of cool about the apparition spell slots is that they are spontaneous. So you don't actually have to prepare them because the spell repertoire is what spontaneous casters have access to. So it's just a list of spells, and you can use whatever spell slots you have available to actually cast them. So any of these spells that aren't normally on the divine list are still divine spells if you cast them this way. As you increase in level, you gain further apparition spell slots, and your apparitions grant you higher rank apparition spells as detailed in their entry. So yeah, that's really cool. For heightening spells, when you gain spell slots of second rank or higher, you can fill those slots with stronger versions of lower rank spells. This increases the spell's rank, heightening it to match the spell slot. Many spells have specific improvements when they are heightened to certain ranks. So essentially, things like the Magic Missile spell at rank 1, they do the one bolt per action used, up to 3 bolts with 3 actions. And you have to have a rank, like the ranks have to be 2 higher to get any sort of benefit. So you have a rank 1 magic missile and then rank 3. Some spells are just heightened +1, meaning that each rank level that you put into them, sort of thing, has like an increase. So, for example, I think the heal spell normally does like 1d8 of healing at rank 1, but I think you can put it at rank 2 and it does 2d8 with other effects depending on how many actions that you do. So that's just basically, simple heightening and things like that. And then you get your vessel spells. Your primary attuned apparition can use your body as a conduit, allowing you to cast a unique vessel spell. They're a type of focus spell. It costs 1 focus point, and you start with a pool of 2. Oh, okay, that's actually kind of neat. So normally, you start with only 1 focus point when you gain like a focus ability. So this actually starts you with 2. You refill your focus pool during your daily preparations, and you can regain 1 focus point by spending 10 minutes using the refocus activity to treat with nearby spirits, meditate on resolving an issue pertaining to the balance of spirits and mortals, or telling a story. So yeah, it's actually cool. Your focus pool is still capped at 3 points, but starting off at first level with 2 points is actually pretty good. All right. So at first level, the Animist chooses a practice that influences the way their power grows and develops. Choose one of the following practices and gain this list of benefit. So you got the Channeler. So Channelers tend to associate more freely with a wide array of apparitions, as they are naturally skilled at acting as conduits for spiritual energy. While they tend not to form deep bonds with a single apparition, they're able to wield the power of multiple apparitions with great ease. Channelers are often travelers, itinerant merchants, or similar drifters carrying stories from town to town. They often associate with apparitions of local nature or natural features, and they find themselves near. For instance, bonding with a steward of stone and fire when traversing a volcanic caldera. Oops. At first level, you gain the Channeler's Stance feat and Apparition's Whirl action. So Apparition's Whirl, it's a 1 action. Frequency, you can use it once per round. Your apparitions spiral around you as you replace your bond with your primary apparition with another. Choose another apparition from among those you've attuned to. It becomes your primary apparition, replacing your current one. So that's actually pretty good. You can do that as a single action in a combat round, rather than needing to take the refocus action that we saw earlier. So that's not a bad one. So that's the initial boon. Intermediate boon at 9th level, your proficiency rank with fortitude saves increases to master. When you roll a success on a will save, you get a critical success instead. Huh. I feel like that should be fortitude, but I don't know. Because that's normally what happens when you go from expert to master. It's usually with the same save, so I think either this is supposed to be will, or maybe that's supposed to be will, or they're both supposed to be fortitude. I'm not sure, but it's still a decent ability. At 13th level, you get the greater boon. Your proficiency ranks for light armor, medium armor, and unarmored defense increase to expert. And at 17th level, the first time in an encounter you enter a specific stance granted by an Animist feat, you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to half your level plus 2, minimum of 3. These temporary hit points last for 1 minute. Okay, so that's the Channeler, right? The other one that we have here is the Sage. So sages are particularly sensitive to the presence and influence of spirits and undead. They can easily detect lingering spirits and help create resolutions between spiritual entities and whatever barriers are preventing them from resting peacefully. Some sages may even serve as go betweens for spirits that intentionally linger to watch over a site or a community, allowing them to speak to the people they knew in life. Sages are often community leaders or educators and frequently associate with apparitions of fixed sites of power, like guardians of groves and gardens, or apparitions of knowledge. So the first level boon, at first level, your ability to sync into your apparition is especially potent. You gain the apparition's sense feat and the apparition's possession action. So apparition's possession, you relinquish control of your physical body to an apparition, allowing it to fully unleash its spiritual power at the cost of your own agency. Until the start of your next turn, you are immune to control effects and spells that attempt to influence your actions, such as Charm or Command, unless its spell rank is more than twice your level. So that becomes impossible pretty quickly. Um, Casting, whoops, where are we here? However, the only actions you can take are to stride, strike, cast an apparition spell, cast a vessel spell, or use an action that has an apparition trait. So at ninth level, their intermediate boon is proficiency ranks for light armor, medium armor, and unarmored increased to expert. So we had that as the greater boon of the channeler. So that's the intermediate boon of the sage. The greater boon is at 13th level. You gain spirit resistance equal to half your level and a +2 circumstance bonus on saves against spirit effects. You are immune to any effect that separates your soul from your body against your will, such as the Seize Soul spell. So that's pretty decent too. And then your ultimate boon is at 17th level. Whenever a haunt, spirit, undead, or incorporeal creature fails a saving throw against your spells, you gain a +2 circumstance bonus to your armor class and saving throws against all of that entity's attacks and abilities for the next 24 hours. That's pretty good. This bonus applies only to the entity that failed its save, not others of the same type. And then in addition, you can select up to 2 apparitions as your primary apparition during your daily preparations. So that's pretty decent. I think I like the Sage a little bit more. But yeah, that's pretty good. And then you get your increases here. So you get your Animist feats, your skill feats, your general feats, um, your skill. You get again more skill increases, ancestry feats. Third apparition. So at 4th level, you've learned to shelter more spirits. So as you go up in levels, you do gain additional apparitions. So you can when attuned to apparitions during your daily preparations, choose 3 instead of 2, with one of them being a primary apparition, and you increase your focus points by 1. So at that point, at 4th level, you've got 3 focus points to use, which is pretty cool. Then you get your expert spellcaster, advanced interlocution. You channel the power of your spirit forces and entities with incredible efficiency. You gain an additional apparition spell slot for each rank of spells you can cast, up to your highest rank of spells -2. For example, a 10th level Animist would have an additional first, second, and third apparition slot. So yeah, again, pretty cool expanding your spontaneous spell casting there. I like that. Apparitions warning. The spiritual entities that protect you warn you of harm. So it increases your rank and reflex saves from trained to expert. At 12th level, you gain a 4th apparition. At 19th level, you gain Supreme Incarnation. You become a nexus between the mortal and spiritual realms, capable of serving as a channel for your apparition to incarnate its full might through you. You gain a 10th rank apparition spell slot. In addition to heightened versions of your apparition spells, you can use this slot to cast Avatar. When you cast Avatar in this way, you do not become an avatar of a deity. Rather, your primary attuned apparition incarnates itself using your body, transforming you into an avatar described in your primary attuned apparition's entry. So yeah, really cool stuff. Again, we're not going to go over all of the feats and stuff like that here, but it is kind of a neat concept for abilities. What I actually want to do is I'll just leave these up on screen for the feats. If you want to pause, what I'll actually do is I'll probably go back to 100% there. If you want to pause and read through the different feats, you certainly can. So we'll do that. Feel free to pause. Once again, feel free to pause. I'm just going to scroll down and leave it a little bit so it doesn't get blurry. What I want to do next is actually take a look at the spirits that you can channel, the apparitions. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to zoom right back in here. So reading an apparition entry, so they have their skills, their spell repertoire, their vessel spell, and the benefits of Avatar. So we've got the Custodian of Groves and Gardens. Their apparition skills are farming lore and herbalism lore. Their apparition spells are Tangle Vine, which is the cantrip. First level is Wall of Shrubs, Gentle Breeze, Safe Passage, Life Draining Roots, Entwined Roots, Field of Life, Dancing Fountain, Moment of Renewal, Overwhelming Presence. Their Vessel spell is Garden of Healing. I kind of like that one. And then the avatar is Elysian Field, speed 60 feet, ignore difficult terrain and greater difficult terrain. In melee, they get Garden's Cradle, which has the non-lethal and agile traits, 10-foot reach, and can do trip. Damage is 66 plus 6 bludgeoning plus grab. There's a lot of stuff that you can do there. Holy crap. So you can trip them and grab them. Range is Impose Peace, so non-lethal, 66 plus 6 mental damage. Not bad, not bad. The Garden of Healing, though, that one I'm interested in. So that one is a 10-foot emanation. It is sustained up to a minute, so it costs one action to do, but each subsequent round you have to dedicate one of your actions to sustaining the effect. But the spirits of comfort and respite swirl around you, trailing visions of growing grass and blooming blossoms. Yeah, blossoms. When you cast this spell in the first time each round you sustain the spell thereafter, you generate a pulse of renewing energy that heals each living creature within the emanation 1d4 hit points. You can heighten +1. So the healing granted by the spell's pulse increases by 1d4. So yeah, again, really cool stuff. We have Imposter in Hidden Places. Again, I'm not going to read through all of these to be completely and totally honest, but again, I kind of like the sounds of this one. They get fortune-telling lore and underworld lore. They get telekinetic hand, ill omen, invisibility, veil of privacy, liminal doorway, hallucination, mislead, planar place, disappearance, and phantasmagoria. And then they get to their vessel spell is discomforting whispers. All right, we got to read discomforting whispers here. So 5-foot emanation, duration sustained up to 1 minute. You are surrounded by an aura of spiteful murmurings that incite bad luck and punish failure. Each creature that starts its turn within the area of the spell must roll twice on their first attack roll that round and take the lower result. If an attack roll modified in this way results in a failure, the creature that rolled the failed attack takes 1d6 void damage. Void is basically just the negative energy damage type. It just got renamed. And you heighten it +2. The void damage dealt increases by 1d6. So yeah, some really cool. I like the names like Stalker and Darkened Bows, Steward of Stone and Fire. They mentioned that one before. Witness to Ancient Battles. Like, there's some really cool names here. I like this quite a bit. And then they have like their new spells, which again, I'm gonna read Phantasmagoria just because I kind of want to read that one. That was a video game back in the day, wasn't it? But it's a 9th level spell, or 9th rank spell. I got to get used to that change. It's going to take me a while. Traditions are arcane and occult. Range is 120 feet and targets any number of creatures. Okay. The defense against it is will. So you fill the target's mind with endless images, like countless dreams and lives colliding with each other. The onrushing information deals 16d6 mental damage to each target, depending on its will save. So on a failure, the target takes full damage and is confused until the start of its next turn. If it critically fails, so if it rolls a natural 1 or fails the save by 10 or more, the target takes double damage and is confused for 1 full minute. Success, the target takes half damage and cannot use reactions until the start of your next turn. And on a critical success, the target is unaffected. So yeah, some really cool stuff there. I like that one. Oh man. Yeah, that's actually a pretty cool. That's a pretty cool class. I'm kind of looking forward to that one and seeing how it shapes up in the when it is finalized here. Then we have Nahoa as our Exemplar. So that is the next class we're going to take a look at here. So their key ability is Strength or Dexterity. So you get to choose which one that is. They're trained in Perception, expert in Fortitude and Will, trained in Reflex. They are trained in the Religion skill and a number of additional skills equal to 2 plus your Intelligence modifier. Trained in Simple and Martial weapons with unarmed attacks as well. only trained in light armor, though, and trained in unarmored defense, so I'm sure there's probably options that allow them to be trained in higher uh, weights of armor, like different, like medium or potentially even heavy armor. And they are trained in their Exemplar class DC. So some key terms here. They have the icon, a special item that is so tied to you, it can serve as a divine vessel for your Exemplar might. Your divinity crystallizes into 3 icons at first level. Each icon has a passive eminence ability and an activated transcendence ability, and they gain additional abilities through feats and their options. So eminence, at any given time, your divine spark can rest within one of your icons, empowering it with beyond mortal abilities. As long as your divine spark is empowering one of your icons, that icon gains the divine trait and grants you the benefits described in its eminence entry. If your icon has multiple eminence abilities, you gain all of them whenever your icon is empowered. If an eminence ability occurs on a critical strike with a weapon, it replaces the critical specialization effect the weapon might otherwise have. And then Transcendence. Transcendence channels the might of your divine spark through one of your icons to surpass the mortal and enact a miraculous deed. To use an icon's Transcendence ability, your divine spark must be empowering that icon. Immediately after using a Transcendence ability, your divine spark is ejected from that icon, coming to rest in another icon of your choice. You can only use one Transcendent ability each round. Okay. Divine Spark and Icons. Within your soul is a tiny spark of divine power that belongs not to a deity, but to something all your own. You can manifest this divine power through special items known as icons. Icons are items intrinsically linked to you, sacred vessels crystallized from your divinity that are capable of legendary feats in your hands. There are three types of icons. Body icons are a mark on your flesh that shows you as more than mortal. Worn icons are sacred clothing or other raiment, and weapon icons let you carve your story into the world. Choose 3 icons, one of each type, from the list on pages 22 through 24. Your body takes on the qualities of your chosen body icon, and you gain non-magical non-magical level 0 items of your choice that satisfy the requirements for your chosen worn and weapon icon. Okay. Probably take a little bit more look at that here in a moment. By focusing your divine spark into one of your icons, you empower that icon to accomplish deeds beyond what it could in mortal hands. As long as your divine spark resides in an icon, you gain that eminence effect. Okay. So shift eminence, frequency once per round, one action. You shift the focus of your divinity, filling one of your icons with your divine spark. That icon glows softly with radiant light, emits subtle chimes as it moves, or is otherwise obviously empowered in a way that matches your growing divinity, granting the icon the divine trait and granting you its ability. So you can kind of shift which one it's in, starting like you go from body to weapon, or body to worn, or worn to body, or worn to weapon, or weapon to, like, any combination there. While your spark dwells within an icon, you are also able to channel your divinity through the icon in a powerful transcendence ability through the force of this act, though the force of this act will temporarily cast your divine spark out of the icon. Okay. Spark Transcendence, so frequency once per round. The icon must currently house your divine spark. So basically, you get to I guess use it here. You channel the full might of your divine spark through your icon to briefly surpass mortal limitations and enact a miraculous deed. This is special activity that takes a variable number of actions as listed in the icon stat block. Some icons are activated as a free action or a reaction instead of as an activity. Immediately after the effects of the Transcendence resolve, your divine spark is forcefully ejected from that icon into another icon of your choice. So humble strikes. Even the most unassuming weapons can accomplish heroic deeds in your hands. When you are wielding a simple weapon, increase the damage die of that weapon by 1 size. So if it starts as a D4, it becomes a D6. If it starts as a D6, it goes to a D8. That is interesting. And then at 3rd level, you have root epithet. Epithet? I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm never encountered that word before in my life. But anyway, when your divine spark bonded with your soul, it became dyed in your personality and qualities. As your deeds give shape to its nascent divinity, you come to bear an epithet, a word or phrase that reflects your story and that others come to call you by. So they can affect one of your icons, granting it additional capacities. Okay. So at third level, you gain a root epithet. Again, I hope I'm saying that right, which describes the core of your personality and affects the qualities of your body icon. If you're already trained in the granted skill, you become trained in a different skill of its choice. Okay. Choose one from the list below. So brave, your deeds show fearlessness. When a beast surfaces, you're there to fight it. When someone's lost in the dark, you're first to the rescue. You're trained in athletics. After you spark transcendence of your body icon, your body carries you forward, allowing you to stride up to half your speed in a straight line towards the enemy of your choice. So that's actually pretty cool. That's part of the same ability, I guess. So that's neat. I like that one. Cunning, why race a hare across a meadow or a salmon up a waterfall? Why face a titan in a test of strength? Wouldn't it be better to best your foes with a bit of creativity? I feel like this is one that players might gravitate towards. After all, the stories that echo throughout history are always where the wits and trickery, rather than raw talent or power, win the day. You're trained in deception. After your spark transcendence of your body icon, you can feint as a free action. And then we got mournful. To be a hero is to endure countless hardships and stand where others have fallen, shouldering dreams and destinies in their stead. Though this weight may reach your eyes, you bear the burden so that those under you can live smiling. Okay. You're trained in diplomacy. When you spark transcendence of your body icon, the act has a bittersweet poignancy to it, making one enemy within 30 feet dazzled as tears or memories dance in their eyes. This is a mental and motion effect. The enemy remains dazzled until the start of your next turn. And then there's Radiant. So, Radiant heroes live bigger lives than any other, shining so brightly that they attract followers, inspire troops, and change the course of kingdoms. You're trained in diplomacy. After you spark transcendence of your body icon, you can inspire an ally within 30 feet to push on, restoring hit points equal to 2 plus double your level. This is a mental and emotional effect, and that allies are temporarily immune for 10 minutes. So you can't do it repeatedly on the same ally. So that makes sense. All right. Spirit striking at 5th level. Your power can't be contained, escaping in sparks and embers through your weapons as you reek of violence. You deal 2 additional spirit damage with weapons and unarmed attacks, in which you are an expert. Okay, so I guess you increased to expert level training for that as well. This damage increases to 3 if you're master and 4 if you're legendary. Weapon expertise. Okay, so at the same, you're dedicated yourself to training and expertise your weapons. Your proficiency ranks for unarmored attacks and simple weapons and martial weapons increase to expert. So because they're alphabetized, that explains why you're considered in which you're an expert, because you increased to expert at the same level. It's just the next ability down. Okay, Dominion epithet. Boy, we're going to be using that word a lot here, aren't we? So your divinity has grown in power along with your deeds, allowing you to begin claiming dominion over aspects usually reserved for gods. Choose one of the following epithets which affect your weapon. So the first one affected your body. This one is a weapon-based one. So born of bones and earth, your dominion is over stone and soil. The Colosseums of creation and pillars, or in the pillars holding up the stage of history's great legends. This is a very verbose class here. You gain the Hefty Hauler feat. You can choose for any spirit damage dealt by your Exemplar abilities to instead manifest as levitating segments of stone or bone, changing the damage type to bludgeoning and replacing the spirit trait with the earth trait. Your weapon icon gains the following abilities. So Eminence, when you critically succeed on a strike, and the target of the critical hit is standing on a surface of earth and stone, it is driven down and mired in the ground. The target is immobilized and must succeed an escape attempt against your class DC to end the immobilization. The creature doesn't become stuck if it's incorporeal, is liquid like a water elemental or some oozes, or could otherwise escape without effort. And then we've got Transcend, Wound the World, which takes 2 actions. Your weapon pierces the ground below you and opens a jagged rift in a 60-foot line. All squares the line passes through permanently become difficult terrain or greater difficult terrain if they were already difficult. Each creature standing in an affected square at the time of the effect must succeed on a reflex save against your class DC or fall prone. Creatures that fall prone take 2d6 bludgeoning damage from the roiling earth. This damage increases to 4d6 if you are 12th level and 6d6 at 17th level. All right, Restless as the tide, your dominion is over the ocean, the great source and ultimate taker of lives. You gain the Underwater Marauder feat. You can choose for any spirit damage dealt by your Exemplar abilities to instead manifest as surging streams of water, changing the damage type from bludgeoning, or to bludgeoning, sorry, and replacing the spirit trait with the water trait, and your weapons gain the following. So for Eminence, when you critically succeed on a strike, you deal slash damage equal to the number of weapon damage dice to all creatures within 10 feet. The splash damage is bludgeoning and has the water trait. So if your weapon is doing 2 dice, because there are like runes and things you can get to increase the die, the amount of dice that you're rolling or dice that you're rolling for your weapon. So if you're rolling like say 2 dice for your weapon, then it's 2 splash damage to everybody around. So that's actually kind of neat. And then Transcend sees calm, again 2 actions. A roaring whirlpool swirls around you, gathering your enemies together to receive your divine punishment. All enemies within 60 feet must succeed on a Fortitude save against your class DC or be swept up to 15 feet to another location of your choice within the affected area and become off guard until the start of your next turn. This effect is forced movement. You then strike one enemy within your reach. Okay, and then we've got Peerless Under Heaven. So for those, for as long as there have been gods, they have made war. And you aim to stand atop the pile when the fighting's over. Choose one, or you can choose for any spirit damage dealt by your Exemplar abilities to instead manifest as powerful impacts, cutting slashes, or temporarily conjured physical armaments, removing the spirit trait and dealing physical damage instead. If dealt as part of a weapon attack, this damage is the same type as the weapon. Otherwise, it is your choice of bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. Your weapon icon gains the following abilities. So the Eminence is Divine Skill at Arms, guides your weapon, granting it the critical specialization effect for its weapons group. And then Transcend, Reap the Field. To 1 action, requirements. Your previous action was a successful strike, and you have not yet rolled damage. So this is after you hit, but before you actually deal damage. Effect, time seems to lag as you blur across the battlefield, deciding the fate of many in a moment. Do not roll damage for your strike, stride up to half your speed, and make an attack against a different foe. Use the same multiple attack penalty. If your second attack succeeds, you deal damage to both creatures. If it is a miss, you deal damage to neither creature. So it's kind of a risk-reward type of situation, but it uses the same multiple attack penalty that you are currently at. So if you stride and then strike a second target, it's not at -5 if this is your first attack for the round. So not bad, actually. I kind of like that one as well. Then we've got Whose Cry is Thunder. So the sky overhead is yours to command as lightning strikes your soul. Any bonus to saving throws you gain from an Exemplar ability also applies against effects with the electricity trait. So any resistance applies to damage. You can choose for any spirit damage dealt by your Exemplar abilities to instead manifest as Cackling Lightning, changing the damage type to electricity and replacing the spirit trait with the electricity trait. Your weapon icon gains the following. So for Eminence, when you critically succeed on a strike, lightning strikes the target within 30 feet for 4d6 electricity damage, basic reflex save. So that means on a successful save, they take half. On a critical save, they take nothing. On a fail, they take full. And on a critical failure, they take double. This damage increases to 7d6 if you're at 12th level and 10d6 at 17th level. And their transcendent ability is Judgment from Clear Skies. 2 actions. As you fire or hurl your weapon, it becomes a line of booming lightning. Make a ranged strike with your icon against a creature within your weapon's first range increment, or 30 feet, whichever is further. If the strike is successful, the target and each creature within 15 feet must make a basic fortitude save against your class DC or take 1d6 electricity and 1d6 sonic damage from the mighty thunderclap of the weapon's impact. It increases to 2d6 for both if you're 12th level and 3d6 for both if you're 17th level. So yeah, awesome stuff here. Boy, and there's a little bit more. A lot of these, again, are just sort of like increasing other effects, like increasing your training levels or proficiency levels from like trained to expert, expert to master, master to legendary. Um, and you get the what do we have here? Sorry, the Juggernaut, the Greater Spirit Striking. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So that increases from 2 to 4. If you are, let's see, with weapons and unarmed strikes with you're an expert, 6 if you're master, 8 if you're legendary. Then we've got the Sovereignty Epithet. So this affects your Warn. So we had body first, weapon, and now we got Warn. So the options here, you could choose one of the following epithets which affect your Warn icon. So Teacher of Heroes. Those who make great names for themselves as heroes are called upon to train those who follow them. And such is your destiny, to be remembered through your progeny. So the eminence, the aura granted by your Warn icon increases to 30 feet. Whenever you fail or deal no damage with a strike against an enemy within your Warn icon's aura, you can attempt a recall knowledge check against that target and instantly transmit any knowledge you gain as a result to every ally within the aura. So that's pretty cool. The first piece of knowledge when you gain when recall knowledge in this way is always their immunities, if any, or greatest resistance if they don't have any immunities. If the target does not have any immunities or resistances, you instead learn their greatest weakness. If the target does not have any immunities, resistance, or weaknesses, you learn what their lowest saving throw is. So that is pretty cool. And then their transcendability, complete the hero's journey. You declare an enemy within the area of your Warn icon's aura to be a heroic test. As long as that enemy remains within your aura, it deals an additional 10 spirit damage to you with each successful strike or spell it targets you with. Whenever it deals spirit damage to you, each ally within the aura can attempt a reactive strike against it, even if they do not normally have that reaction. If an ally within your aura successfully slays the enemy with a reactive strike, they immediately gain temporary hit points equal to their level, which persists for 1 minute. So that's kind of a neat one. I don't know how much I would want to use it because you are allowing somebody to deal extra damage to you, but the ability to have anybody within striking distance be able to get a free reaction attack against them when they hit you, that's not bad. I kind of do like that. Again, you're sacrificing yourself so that those around you can get extra hits in, and if they manage to take them down with that, they do gain some extra hit points, which is it's kind of cool. It's kind of a neat ability. I'm not going to lie. Whew. All right. The next one here is the last ruler. Whether your destiny is monarch or god, the spirit of all true rulers that have ever been or ever shall be suffuses your power and dominion, granting you an unrivaled commanding presence. I'm struggling a little bit here because when I read off the computer screen for too long, I start to get a headache and the text starts to blur. I really should be wearing my glasses when I do these. It helps a little bit, but not 100% here. So the eminence is the aura granted increases 30 feet. Whenever an enemy within your aura fails an attack roll against you, you can attempt an intimidation check to demoralize them as a free action as you rebuke them for their foolish attempt to stand against you. I feel like this one's going to get some use here. The transcend is kneel before greatness, a 2-action ability. You demand the fealty that is your rightful due. All enemies within your icon's aura must succeed at a will save against your class DC or immediately kneel, dropping prone as a free action. Enemies who critically fail their save against this effect also take spirit damage equal to twice your level. I like that one more than the other one, I'm not going to lie. And then we got Thief of Moonlight. So your deeds are spoken of in whispers and half-believed rumors. You walk unseen, hidden behind stars, capable of taking anything. The light of the heavens themselves are not safe from your avarice. Okay. Eminence. The aura granted by your worn icon increases to 30 feet. Whenever an enemy within the aura fails an attack roll against you, you snatch a fragment of the light from within their eyes, making them dazzled until the end of your next turn. Okay. And then the Transcend is all that shines belongs to me. Two actions. You become invisible for up to for 1 round, then stride. So that's all part of the same action. Each enemy adjacent to you at any point during this movement must succeed at a Fortitude save against your class DC or become blinded for 1 minute. If a creature critically fails, they are permanently blinded instead. Oh my god. For each creature blinded by this effect, the duration of the granted invisibility increases by 1 round as you hide yourself in their stolen light. That is mean. That is a mean ability. I like that one. I do like that one. So again, we're not going to go through every single like icon here, just because there's a lot to sort of take in. And again, I'm reading off of a PDF, and it's all starting to blur together in my eyes. So I'm just going to kind of scroll through and you kind of see an idea of what we have here. So the body icons, we have the eye-catching spot, a fetching beauty spot under an eye or a smile as warm as the sun distracts foes and captures hearts alike. A gaze as sharp as steel. I like how like poetic everything is for this. Like because you're telling the legend or the story of like your magnificence basically, and these are all things that you can use to describe your character. I absolutely love that. Um, so again, if you want to pause these and read them in more detail, you can certainly do that. I'm just going to scroll through and just kind of pause periodically, just so when you pause the video, there'll be points where it's nice and clear. Thousand League Sandals, usage worn shoes. Victor's Wreath. So these are the worn icons. And then their feats are the same thing. I'm not going to go over everything with their feats, but I will scroll through and then I'll just periodically pause so you can see what they say. Oops. Extract vow of nonviolence. You entice or threaten a weapon, making it swear not to harm you. Attempt diplomacy check to request for intimidation to demoralize against one weapon within. So that's kind of you can literally talk to the weapons and they can be like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna hurt you. Gain resistance on a critical success to all damage, so you take I think that's half damage. Critical success, but each time the weapon damages you, the duration of the effect decreases by 1 minute. And it's just some really cool, like just really coolly worded abilities, feats, everything. It's very poetic class. I feel. So there you go. That was a look at the Animist and the Exemplar. I'm going to be honest. Of the two, the Exemplar looks like it'd be a lot of fun, but I kind of like the Animist a little bit more. Um, but they're both definitely interesting classes. So hopefully you guys check out the playtest, make these characters, try them out. Be sure to do the surveys. And everything else to provide feedback there. I'm really interested to see how these classes shape up when they're finally released at the end of next year. So we are looking quite a ways into the future here, but still really cool concepts. And yeah, I hope you guys check them out. Anyway, thank you so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Until then, take care.